What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Joel Friday TV. I am Joel Friday. A few announcements before we get started. Hit that like button, smack it. Lay the smack down, a like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we get the subscribers up. And a message out. Do it now. Help a brother out. As you guys know, we are live Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Punchy.tv. And at any point during the show, you can call in at 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773, and we can get into that stuff. We can talk that talk. We can get into it. And if for whatever reason you can't call in, but you still have a question or comment, or you just want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV, or go directly to the YouTube live chat, hit the super chat button, send your question or comments there. I'll read them live and on air, okay? All right. What's today? Today's Tuesday. What does that mean? You guys know what that means. True Crime Tuesdays. True Crime Story Time. True Crime Story Time Tuesday. And we getting into it. When I tell you I got something for y'all, y'all gonna love it and y'all gonna be ticked. You're going to love it and you're going to hate it. I'm telling you, because we're going to get into all of it today. And usually on True Crime Tuesdays, we go right into it. We jump. We don't waste no time. We go straight to the full course meal. We don't do no appetizers on Tuesdays. No appetizers. We go straight for the full course meal. We're going to get right into it. I do want to say is that the reason why I like doing these true crimes, because at first I was like, do I want to do true crime? Do I want to do this? Do I even like doing this? Honestly. But the reason why I like doing this because I like getting to the heart of the issue, right? I like getting to the heart of it. But I realize that people don't like that I get to the heart of it sometimes because it seems as if maybe I'm defending the serial killers, right? And it's not that I'm defending them. I'm just defending what I believe to be true. I'm just defending the truth. And when I get to the root of this issue, you start to realize that most people, or all people, are really operate from the same place, right? Some just had a worse hand in life. But when you get to the root of it, it all comes from the same exact thing, that same exact place, and the same exact emotions, and the same exact issues that we all deal with or all have dealt with, right? And I know that doesn't seem attractive or it seems appealing when you want to hear these stories, because when you hear these stories, you want to be mad at the serial killer, right? And I understand. They brutalize families, they brutalize people, they ruin people's lives. I understand it too. Trust me. I understand it. But at the same time, it's also used as justification for people's anger to take it out on the serial killer. You know what I mean? It feels nice to judge a serial killer. It feels nice. It justifies our anger to take it out on the serial killer, right? So there's no way that we can take responsibility away from them and forgive or, learn how to love. Because if we do that, then that means we're justifying their actions. And that's not true. What happens is we're justifying evil by judging. And like I said, I know that's easier said than done. And anybody can say you should love your enemies. Anybody can say you should forgive. But to actually do it is a whole nother thing. But it is the truth. But anyway, let's get into this. Let's get into the details and let's talk about it. First things first. A second thing I want to say is, before I get into these details, is serial killers are oftentimes, you got to remember that C-Sal says Joel would invite the serial killer over to Lil C, can make him enchiladas. Calm down. Listen, I'm not saying you got to be friends with the serial killer, hang out. I'm just saying that, you're not supposed to hate anyone, right? We're not called to hate anyone. Doesn't mean we hang out, doesn't mean we justify, doesn't mean we ignore, doesn't mean we accept, but we aren't supposed to hate, is my point. Because you got to realize this, and then we're going to get right into it. Serial killers are abused in their adolescence. You got to understand, when they're children, they come out the womb and they don't know love. They're not taught love. They don't know what love is. Real love is supposed to look like. They don't know what that looks like. All they see is abuse, right? From little kids. All they see is abuse. So what happens? They're just lost, confused, broken, hurt, scared, blind, and looking for love, but ain't finding it, right? So as a result, as I'm reading these stories, what seems to be happening is they tend to resort to the thrills of life, right? The thrills of life, all the emotional excitements of life for survival, right? And I'm realizing, I'm seeing that I don't think I just don't see them as, I don't see it as a personal vendetta to be evil, more so as it's like a desire to like regain some type of authority, regain some sense of power, and to feel like somebody, to feel confident again, to feel something, opposed to like them actually being set out to just destroy, like a personal vendetta. I just don't see it as personal vendettas as I'm reading these stories. Like this vendetta to like harm a specific, it's random killings, it's randomness oftentimes, right? But anyway, let's get into the details. Let's get into the details. Mr. Ramirez, okay? Mr. Ramirez. We're going to talk about Richard here, okay? I want to bring it back from the very beginning, from the very time, according to Wikipedia. I got this from Wikipedia and a couple other sources, as well as some videos online. But when Richard was born, he was born to a mother and father, right? And his father, according to Wikipedia, was very abusive. He was alcoholic. And in his rage, in his fits, he would beat the family, right? Richard was the youngest of 6, I believe. And in his pursuits, in his angry fits, he would beat up Richard, right? He would beat him. And when he would do that, I think he was like the age of like 6. According to reports, they were saying that he would also beat Richard unconscious. Like he would knock him out sometimes, or sometimes he would, just beat him so bad that he would wake up and not knowing what's going on, right? And this was like the age of 6, right? And it would happen often. And then at the age of like 10, Richard started to get into drugs, right? But just like weed and drinking alcohol. But at 10 years old, when you need weed and alcohol, you're going through some stuff, right? You need an escape, you're going through some stuff. So he starts picking up weed and alcohol. But then as he's growing up, and in order to escape his father's wrath, he would like go to the cemetery, right? He would like sleep in the cemetery and crazy stuff. Why you sleep in the cemetery? If you got to go to the cemetery for refuge, some stuff going on. you know you going through it. But anyway, he's trying to find a way to get away from his father. So what happens is he starts hanging out with his cousin, his older cousin, right? And he's looking for love, of course. Looking for love, can't find it, tries to find it in his older cousin. So he goes to this older cousin. His name is Miguel. Older cousin was a former soldier in the Marines and was in the Vietnam War. But his cousin was a rapist. Well, I hate saying these words, the same words that they use on Wikipedia, right? Because they paint it in a weird way. But he was a predator, right? He would like abuse women, kill women, and he would show these pictures to Richard and show him like how he would like tie up the girls in Vietnam, the Vietnamese girls, tie them up and then like beat them and kill them and sexually assault them, right? He would show the pictures to Richard, right? And Richard, being this young boy, already kind of messed up, you know, looking outward in the world for love, goes and finds his cousin, who is now also influencing him in an evil way, right? So Richard looks at these photos according to reports, and instead of him being like surprised and shocked and like disgusted by these photos, he more is fascinated, right? He's more intrigued by them. Like they do, you know, he gets more excited about them, right? So what happens is, as this relationship goes between his cousin and Richard, his cousin starts teaching him, you know, how to kill and how to, and not for the sense of being a killer, right? I'm sure Miguel wasn't set out to teach him to do that. Maybe he did. I don't know. You never know these days. But he's teaching him how to kill. He's teaching him his ways in Vietnam, and Richard's learning how to, you know, kill, be a killer. And fast forward, one day Richard is in the cemetery, right? Just hanging out with his homies, the dead. And he sees from a distance his cousin Miguel with his wife, right? They're arguing. And as they're arguing, Miguel pulls out a gun and shoots his wife in the face. Boom. Richard sees it. And instead of Richard being shocked, what does he get? It amuses him, right? He gets some type of satisfaction from it. Like he like, I don't know, he gets excited about it again. So all this, keep in mind that all this is happening while he's still at home, being, you know, dealing with his father, while he's doing these drugs, while he's fascinated with these images that his cousin is showing him, while he's hanging out with his cousin, whose cousin obviously got issues himself, right? And then, you know, he's getting caught up in this stuff. So cousin goes to jail, and now Richard's back by himself. So Richard starts getting into LSD, starts taking more hardcore drug, LSD, right? Starts taking LSD, and then he starts getting into Satanism. Lord, ain't that always the story? Ain't that always the story? He started getting into Satanism, right? Reading into cults, started worshiping Satan. And the question is, well, why? Why would anybody do that? Because it's that false sense of power, right? Looking for love, but as a substitution, you're finding these thrills that give you a sense of satisfaction, right? Life, right? It's escape. It's giving you this sense of confidence, this fascination of different things, right? The imagination goes wild. So now he's getting into Satanism. He's on these drugs. And mind you, you know, these drugs could take you to these crazy places. I heard stories. I never did LSD, but listen, I've heard people done LSD. Some people obviously don't have a crazy reaction, right? Some people don't have a demonic reaction, but some people do. Some troubled people have demonic reactions. I've seen it happen, I've witnessed it happen, and I've heard stories. So all types of different drugs, LSD, even weed. Even weed, I heard some demonic stories, right? Because it's really the person that's affected by this who do these drugs that really become, caught up in this stuff. But anyway, he starts doing LSD and gets into this stuff. His cousin is now in jail. He's alone. His sister, one of his sisters that he grew up with, right? Feels bad for him. Like, my pobrecito. Poor my little brother. Because she's known how they grow up, right? She knew how they grew up. She knew how the father was. And maybe in her mind, she's thinking like, I got away. I got married. She was married. And I got my little house. And it seems like I'm doing all right. So my little brother's struggling. He's suffering. So maybe he needs a little help, right? Everybody, that thought comes into everybody's mind, right? So she invites him to come live with them. And Richard goes. He goes to stay with his sister and her husband, right? Looking for another influence. Here comes Richard's sister's husband, Richard's brother-in-law, who takes Richard underneath his wing now, but Richard's brother-in-law is a peeping Tom. I'm using all these Wikipedia terms. Peeping Tom. So what Richard's brother-in-law does, according to reports, is at night he leaves his home and goes peeked in the windows of women, right? He's looks at them in the window and he gets like some type of satisfaction. So he teaches Richard how to do the same thing. Richard's 15, around 15 at the time, right? Richard starts doing the same thing. And now he's looking at women and now into Satan, doing drugs and doing all that stuff, right? Cousin gets out of jail, Miguel. Miguel gets out of jail. How does Miguel get out of jail? He murdered his wife, shot her in the face. How does he get out of jail? He gets out of jail early because the lawyers pleaded his case that the reason he shot his wife was because he had PTSD from the war, right? So he gets out, right? Because they're like, he just had PTSD. He didn't mean it. He didn't mean to do it like that. He's troubled. He's mental illness. So he gets out. And what does Miguel do? Miguel joins Richard and joins the brother-in-law. And they all start looking at windows and at women. 3 peeping Toms. Just peeping away, right? And I'm sure they were doing other things as well. But as this is happening, while this is all going on at the same time, Richard gets a job. He's about 14, 15, gets a job at a hotel, right? He gets a job and comes across the key. Mind you, first, how come the people who hire Richard, how do they not tell something wrong with the little boy? You would think that after he's done all these things, he's into all these things, that you could be able to tell, but maybe not. The devil is good. He's a good deceiver, right? But anyway, he comes across the key, a universal key to all the rooms in the hotel, right? And he sees this husband and wife that checks in. The husband leaves. He waits for the husband to leave. He goes in there and assaults the wife, right? Assaults the wife. Husband comes in, sees it happening, beats Richard to a pulp. Just beat him up. Just defending his wife, right? And Richard is beaten up. Richard gets arrested, goes to trial. The husband and wife decide to not show up to the trial, right? Because they didn't want to fly back to Texas. Mind you, just keep in mind, Richard was raised in Texas. El Paso, Texas. Forgot that note. But the couple doesn't want to go back to Texas to go to court to testify against Richard. So they don't show up. No show. So the charges get dropped. So Richard's back out and about, peeping to Tom, just Tomming away with his brother-in-law and his cousin, right? Richard has an epiphany. Somewhere in there, Richard has an epiphany, and he realizes what he wants to do with his life, right? He realizes that his number one ambition and what he wants the dream he wants to chase, what he wants to become, his ultimate purpose in life is to be a supervillain. That's what the reports say. That's what the video says. And it makes sense to me, right? After all the Satanism, all the infatuation with killing and all that stuff. He hasn't killed anybody yet at this point, but he has this infatuation, right? This buildup is building up in him, right? And he recognizes it. So his desire is to be a supervillain. He just wants to be a villain. He wants to cause terror to others. Why does anybody ever want to do that, right? Why does anybody ever want to be a villain? Well, for one, obviously, there's no love. Obviously, we know that part. That part we can say, okay. But what else? I think that there is this desire to take their power back, right? Their power was stolen from them as children, right? They felt helpless, they felt defenseless, right? Whether it's from his father beating him, whether it's for him always being angry all the time, whatever it is, they're looking for some type of confidence, some type of like manhood, right? Doesn't matter if it's false manhood, doesn't matter, just some type of confidence. And when people do things and get away with them, it fills them up with this type of pride, right? So he's looking for this type of pride. So I can understand why he decides he wants to be the supervillain. He's into Satanism. He's into all these things, right? He wants to be the man. He wants to stick it to everybody. He wants to know that he ain't nobody better than him. And that's what most people think, right? Most people looking for confidence. Most people looking for manhood, right? Womanhood, whatever. Looking for peace. And what do? We adopt thrills on our pursuit. Maybe not as bad as these thrills. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not as evil and sinister. But hey, we still be looking for thrills. The average person still looking for thrills. Anyway, this point, years pass. This man is dedicated. He's about to be he's just ready to be a supervillain. He's just ready to be. Moves out to California. Lord have mercy. Moves out to California. And this is where the killings start. This is where it gets going. Okay? And one of the cities, he's actually killing in the surrounding cities that I was born in. And it was about 6 years before I was born, he was killing people in the surrounding cities that I was born up in. Monrovia, Whittier, Rosemead, the Valley. These are all like cities on the outskirts of LA, right? He was killing out, breaking into people's home, killing them. His first murder was in Whittier, according to reports. Whittier, California, about 30 minutes from the studio here. About 30 minutes, if that. And this is sad, but I gotta explain it. I won't give too much detail because, come on. But he sees a little girl, 8-year-old girl, and I believe like the 9-year-old brother. They were like 8 and 9. And they're looking for $1, according to Wikipedia. They're looking for some type of money or something. And Richard sees the little girl and tricks her, right? He's like, tells her that the money is over here. Follow me. I know what you're looking for. Follow me. Leads into a dark basement and kills her, right? Beats her, strangles her, assaults her, right? R word, the whole thing. Stabs her, just brutalizes her. They give details. I won't. You can look it up for yourself. And just kills her. But you got to think of it like this: is when a person will go their first killing that we know of, right? If you just to kill a young child and do it in that way, you have to be in such a place to where there's no attachment to life at all. Zero attachment, right? Zero attachment to anything, right? So at this point, he's fully committed. He's 22 at this point, by the way. He's 22. He's fully committed to this super villain, whatever, ambition, right? First killing, according to reports, is a child in the way he did it. So anyway, he ends up doing that, and then afterwards he started breaking into people's houses, killing them. Most of them tend to be older people for whatever reason. Some younger ones as well. He goes in there, breaks into the house. Not only is he killing them, he's also robbing them because he has to pay rent, right? At the end of the day, he still got to pay rent. So he's killing them, robbing them. And the second, another person, I don't know about the second, but another person he kills, he breaks into their house, the husband and wife. He shoots the husband dead, right, in their bed at night. And then he ties the wife up, right, and makes the wife swear to Satan or something that she would tell him where all the prized possessions are, so you can steal them and sell them, right? So she does that. She breaks away. This is what's interesting. She breaks away from her, I don't know, whatever is holding her bound. She breaks away, grabs the shotgun, right? Points it at Richard. He about to die. This is the end for Richard right here, right? She shoots the shotgun and it wasn't loaded. There was no bullets in it, right? So Richard sees that, kills her, done. I thought that was an interesting point, and then I'm going to wrap it up, this story here. I thought that was an interesting point. Reason why is because why was Richard's life spared, right? He's this killer. He's this murderer. He's this evil man that wants to just bring pain to the world. Why was that opportunity not taken, right? Why was his life spared? Who spared his life? Was it God? Was it Satan? Did Satan also protect his children? Or was it in the will of God for Richard to not die yet? What is it? What is it? Right? It could be a lot of different things. Right? So his life is spared. So then he goes on, guess what? Goes on, kills more people, kills more. He just killing, going on a kill spree, and doesn't stop. At one point, one detail that I forgot to mention is he went from LSD to cocaine. So he was doing cocaine now. Right? Minor point, but still a valid point, because cocaine mixed with Satan, I don't know what you're going to get. You know what I mean? Cocaine mixed with Satanism, who knows what that concoction brings, right? So now his drug of choice is cocaine. This is what he's using to get by, cocaine. So, killing people, doing this stuff. He then gets caught. How he gets caught is He goes to Arizona. He leaves California. He's starting to see that people are starting to pick up on these killings, right? He's getting away with them. And mind you, when he's getting away with them, it's filling him up with pride, right? He's feeling like he's really good at what he's doing, right? He has this pride in being this killer. He has this pride in being this villain, right? So he's feeling good. And you could tell he's feeling good because if you see some of the videos of him in court, he has this ego about him, right? And not this ego where it's like, I'm evil type of ego. It's more this ego of like him feeling good about himself. Like feeling good about himself as if like it's a game and he's winning it. You know what I mean? Like just a silly ego. And it's not even like a sinister thing to where you're like, it looks like the average ego on every man, or most men. Just feeling good about yourself, right? Just this ego. He's smiling, right? With this false confidence. But anyway, he flees to Arizona and they see his face on TV. Hispanic ladies are like, oh, that's the man. And he gets scared and runs away, tries to steal a car from somebody. One of the neighbors see it, and the guy comes out and starts trying to beat him up. And then he flees away. And then another neighbor comes to try to fight him. So they eventually get him down. They pin him down, and the police come, take him away. Boom. He goes to court. Obviously, they convict him for murder. They find all the evidence, and he gets the death penalty. And on his way out, he says, hey, big deal. Death always went with the territory. I'll see you in Disneyland. So that was his attitude. Okay. A few things that I want to say about this, and then I'm going to get to your calls and super chats. All right, then we'll be off it. A few closing remarks on this. Okay. First, you got to understand that this man was checked out way early on. He checked out way early on. As a child, he checked out, right? He became detached from life, and not in a good way, right? Because I believe you can become detached from life in a proper way to where nothing affects you, but it's not because you're numb, right? But it's because you have an understanding. But so he became detached to life very young, right? And that's why I say I don't think that he was just like this personal vendetta to hurt anybody. It was just that he wanted to feel this type of manhood, this type of pride, right? That's what it came down to, due to the way he was upbringing. Now, that's not an excuse. As a grown adult, he knew his behavior, and he still chose to go along with it. And I'm not justifying that at all. He deserved to be in jail. But he does not deserve to be judged, is my point. Will we still judge people? It happens. Do people judge? They judge. But it doesn't make it okay because he's done these things. Now, like I said, people do this stuff. They kill, they murder, they ruin people's lives, they do crazy things. Evil exists, is there. We know that, right? But if that's the case, why does God still tell us to love our enemies? Why? Right? Why does God still tell us to love our enemies? Love the enemies. What are enemies? Enemies are the ones that do evil things. Destroy your life. Try to take your life from you. Turn on you. Stab you in the back. But why does God command us still to love our enemies? There has to be a reason. And I come to the understanding is that and meaning that this makes sense to me, is that we don't mean that we hang out with him, skip to my loo. It doesn't mean that stuff. He deserves to be in jail. He also died in jail, I think of cancer or something. He didn't even make it to his execution. He died of cancer or some kind of stuff, right? At 53. Doesn't mean he doesn't deserve to be there. He should be in jail and maybe deserving of the execution. Maybe deserving of it. Maybe deserving of that. But he does not deserve to be judged. And that's the one that's the tricky part that most people think they get away with, right? We all do it, all of us think that we get away with judging, right? But judging is doing the same exact thing, right? Judging is already killing the person in the mind, right? You want death. You wish death upon this person. You wish it's the same exact thing. I wouldn't say it's the same exact thing. You know what I mean? But it's coming from where? It's coming from evil. It's coming from hate. It's coming from a lack of understanding. And believe me, if I was in these situations, I don't know how I would react. I would probably feel that anger and stuff too. And hopefully I don't know, God would have to take over. Because I would feel all those things that everybody else feels. But it doesn't make it right. It doesn't justify that behavior. We have no right to judge. Judgment is hate. That makes us no different. It makes us just as evil. And you got to remember this. Richard went house to house looking for love, right? Didn't get it in his house, goes to his cousin. Didn't get it from his cousin, goes to his brother-in-law. Didn't get it from his brother-in-law, right? They're all, every house he's going to, they're leading him astray, right? So it kind of makes sense that he's going house to house killing people because his spirit, his soul has been killed from house to house. He's been killed. He's been brutalized in one way or another, some form or another. House to house. Every house he go to looking for love, he ain't getting it. So in turn, he went out and did that to other people. So there's a cause and effect. But judgment is a whole nother ball. And I understand why people don't like when I do some of these. Some people don't like when I do these things. And that's fine because of the fact that it maybe seems like I'm defending the killers. But it ain't about that. But those who know, and those who will receive, those who have ears to hear, shall hear the real message that I'm trying to spread. Even if I'm mistaken sometime in my wording, even if I'm mistaken sometime in the way I explain things, those who have ears to hear shall hear what is needed. Anyway, moving on. Let me get to some calls. Let me go to Justin out of California. Justin, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it.
No problem, Justin.
All right. I just think that a lot of people are deaf and dumb, so they're not really able to hear and perceive. And there's a lot of people that are blinded. And I think this kind of individual, this killer or whatever, I think that the killer, Richard Ramirez, is somebody that did what he did because he thinks he was justified in being the person that take a life away. You know what I mean?
Interesting. And what makes you believe that?
His own words. Can I give you a quote that he said?
Yeah.
All right. So he said, serial killers do on a small scale what governments do on a large one. They're products of our times, and these are bloodthirsty times. So You
Interesting.
can kind of see how the devil gets to somebody
Yeah.
and takes one experience of, say, taking a person's life and going, I'm going to continue on because it's already going on.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
What can I do better or different,
Yeah.
to stop it? I can't. So they participate with that. And that's where the devil, gets his foothold in the mind.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. And they justify other things going on in the world when they have to face themselves at any point. And then it becomes like this justification, like this their own version of righteousness. And though they know that their behavior is purely evil, they can see that and they recognize that. But the justification, like you're saying, is how they continue to get by and stuff. It's
Yeah, so
interesting.
that's the devil. That's the devil doing there.
Yeah.
That's the rationalization,
Yeah.
whatever you call it, the justification of doing it. But
Yeah.
I don't think we need to put up those kind of killers with those mindsets. We need to put up people that are, if anything, going to take out those killers. If you're going to kill someone, you should kill somebody that is a killer. But those people, we shouldn't put up those kind of people that are deranged.
Do you think that put out? What do you mean put out?
Like, there should be no glorification for these people.
Oh, I see.
Like,
yeah.
Listen, a lot of people look at Hitler going, oh, okay,
Yeah.
a certain genealogy, genocide.
Yeah.
No big deal. They're fascinated.
Yeah.
How did he do all this stuff?
Yeah.
It's because the devil let him. It's not fascination. It's the It's the fascination about doing something like you're God and you can settle the score. That's pride.
No, you're right about that, but I think that there's value in these stories as well, though. You know what I mean? I don't think that these stories should be buried or however.
They should be buried.
I don't think
they
so.
Should be buried to some extent.
I don't think so. The reason why I don't think so is because there's so
common.
much. Once you dig and get to the root of the issue, then it points back to how to avoid. It points back to the truth, how to understand what happened here, how to maybe learn and do better. So there's still value in it, and I'm not saying that justifies people should do this so they can get some type of lesson out of it.
Then why do mostly women look? I hear you.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay, but why a lot of women, especially women, why are they all fascinated with these criminal stories on the TV or the internet about how a person killed someone? What's the whole fascination between women? I mean, I know they're the weaker species, but it's like, I don't get it. Well,
it's the same way.
Let it go.
That's a
Glorify
good
something
question.
better.
That's a good question, Jess. It's the same way that people love music that is relatable to their life. It's the same way to where it's almost like the thrill of just like the sulk, right? If you hear a breakup song and you've been through a breakup, that's your favorite song now because you can relate, right?
Yeah,
There's some type of coping in there. So I think that's part of it.
Okay, yeah. Because there's definitely something there, but it's just like, I think that we should be thinking about things that are good and pure. Fill ourselves with the good. Because whatever we put on our mind, it could just it's dangerous.
Yeah, it can mess you up for sure. That's why you you got to be careful what you consume. So it's a good point. It's a good point for sure. But
I mean, like, point out what's interesting about the people doing it, but like at the same token, like, let's back off of that. It's like have a message behind it and say this is why this is so
exactly.
bad. Like there should be videos about that. Not just like, who was this guy and why was he so evil? Like, I get it, but now let's talk about why that kind of thing is why it has to be uprooted. How listening to these thoughts that can lead you to evil. And women, be aware of your surroundings. There are many individuals that are like that, but don't be fascinating so much and entertaining so much the evil.
No, it's a good point because it's almost like when music that glorifies killing and glorifies all this behavior in the street or whatever, and that music in itself is it's not necessarily giving you a solution or telling you not to do it. It's glorifying and praising this behavior in the music. So you're basically saying that don't let it corrupt your ears. It's pointless content. Are you there, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, can see that.
We lost you. You're away from your phone. Oh. We lost Justin. But I understand this point. But I don't think that it's bad, though. I don't think that it's necessarily a bad, because people say true crime, and I was one of those people. I was like, why y'all be watching true crime so much? Because my mom used to always watch true crime docs. She used to always watch true crime, and I used to be like, I never understood why she was into it. I'm like, are you a killer, Loki? But she just enjoyed watching it, and it could come from some relatability, right? The trauma and stuff like that. But what I also know is, as I'm getting into it to present to you guys, is that there's a lot of valuable understanding that comes from these things once the story is complete. Why it happened, where it came from, the upbringing, and then you kind of paint the picture and connect the dots, and it comes back to just a lesson, right? It comes back to its understanding. So I wouldn't necessarily say that we should just stop watching these things. I just say that we should watch them in consciousness, right? Same thing with music. Like music, and that was the point I was trying to make, is that music has stuff that you celebrate. They celebrate drugs, all that kind of stuff, but it's still good beat, got a little vibe to it, and you still want to dance. You know what I mean? Oh, maybe not everybody, but that's still the case. But if you just be conscious, right? Don't be conscious about it. If it starts to affect you in a negative way, then step away from it. But it doesn't mean that all of it has to be completely sheer evil. And I don't think of it like that. So I wouldn't say ban it. Anyway, super chats. We got Eric Harlan, a big supporter of JFTV and commentator as well. Eric says, Richard Ramirez and Ted Bundy are extreme examples of two evil men. The real story is the thousands of evil women that love them. Women are the root of all evil, he says in quotes. If women didn't love evil men, they wouldn't exist. I don't know about that part, Eric. If women didn't love criminals, they wouldn't exist. I don't think it necessarily is driven by women. I don't think that the root of what is causing this is a woman who loves it. I think that there are women out there who love the bad boy and they get attention. You see right now all these people who love these guys, like that one guy who shot the healthcare worker, killed him, Mahoney, whatever his name is. I forgot his name. They kill, and the ladies love him because he's so like rebel. He's so tough and strong, right? Ladies do love that, and that is a thing, but I don't think that is derived from the thrill of the attention from ladies. I think it's just it's deeper than that. It's this upbringing. It's this lack of love. It's this desire to feel strong, right? Complete. This fill a void. So I think if all women were to not care about this stuff, then I think it would still happen. So there's that. If women didn't love drug addicts, alcoholics, they wouldn't exist. I don't necessarily agree with that, Eric. If women spent their time at the library, men would read books. If women went to church, men would find God. Are you following the trend? Women lead society into degeneracy because the woman is the man's God. I think there's a heavy woman influence there, Eric. I think that a lot of the problems from society have come through the woman. Reason being is because the women tend to fall on the more emotional side, and Satan is the ruler of emotions, right? The devil is the ruler of emotions. So the devil has to go to the weaker vessel, which typically is controlling the stronger vessel, which is the man, and snips him at the legs so that the devil can get in and run the home, run society, run the country, run the world. We see that. But nonetheless, you guys got to remember this. Nonetheless, where does the woman get the spirit of evil from? Right? Where does the woman get the spirit of evil from? Satan. Satan was the first man to pass it on to the woman. So men are responsible. Always. In my opinion, that's just my belief. Men are responsible. Because before a woman was there was a man, which was Lucifer. Right? Lucifer's spirit was passed on to the woman. So I understand that women tend to be at the foot of a lot of, especially today, of the issues at hand. Men too, okay? I gotta say that for out of fairness. Men too, but the women tend to be the weaker vessel. So Satan comes through the woman oftentimes. It has a strong influence on the family. But that spirit is not originated from women. It's originated from the devil, Satan himself. The devil, Satan himself, was a man. So that's how I think about it. Joel, do better. So Eric Harlan, I always appreciate your takes, man. You always got good takes, but I disagree with this one. I don't think it's the woman's fault. It's anyone's fault as an adult, male or female. It's your fault as an adult. You got to take responsibility. Even if you don't know how to overcome, you got to take responsibility for the fact that you continue to stay in your misery, right? Because God gives many ways, opportunities to come out or to grow, to overcome, to learn, to repent. So male and woman both need to take responsibility. Period. But that's how I feel about it. Amazing stuff. I'm out of time, though. I gotta go. American Anchor Baby coming in next for some more stuff. And I'll be back here tomorrow for some more mess. And we'll get into it. Tomorrow's Relationship Wednesday. Relationship, marriages, dating, all things. We'll get into that tomorrow. So make sure you guys tune in. Joel Friday TV across the board. Punchy TV on YouTube and Instagram. Just good content. Great content. Make sure you guys check that out. I'm gone. I'll see you tomorrow. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Calls, super chats, and all that good stuff. I didn't get to all the super chats. I did get carried away. My bad, but I'll read them, and we'll get into it tomorrow. All right, y'all. Bye.